Welcome to Season 2 of Let This Mind podcast. Come along on the journey with us as 3 therapists discuss mental health topics from a biblical perspective. We're talking about themes like boundaries, grief, trauma, and how to let our minds be healed and whole. Because mental health isn't new. It's just finally being heard. Direct hit.
Direct hit. Okay.
Ow.
Bang, 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 bang.
Directly.
Directly. All right. Well, it's the season finale.
It is the season finale. That it is.
Season finale. It's been an amazing season. We can introduce each other, for the last time this season, and then we'll jump right in. As we explained last week, we're going to be showing some of our favorite clips, some of the most impactful things. And viewers, watchers, listeners, make sure to comment some of your favorite stuff too. We thank you for being here with us, as we come live and being engaging and just commenting and making us laugh and then asking questions and all that. So we appreciate you rocking with us for this season. So I am Steph Jones, also known as Lilac Calandra, marriage and family therapist, mindfulness life coach, and the vow still remains the same. That I want people to know that healing can happen now. Yep, right now. At this time, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in, wherever you are, healing can happen now. We can walk the journey, and it's something we need to do. So I'm joined by my other amazing co-hosts, and they can jump in.
Hey y'all, Jermae here, licensed mental health counselor, the youth whisperer, the guide, the compass for the teens. Let me be clear, the teens, y'all, the teens, them babies, we're going to pass them to Dominique, but the teens and the young adults. We're here to counsel, we're here to mentor, we're here to consult, but yes, hey y'all, love y'all, how you doing?
Yeah. All right. I am Dominique. I am the therapist that is coming to your school, home, church, wherever you are at. That's where I'm going to be to show you that love looks completely different than what the world shows. We are here. You are never alone. And I am she.
Oh, love that. Love that. Love that. Love looks different than what the world says. Love that so much. So we have our clips. So just gonna jump into our first clip and then we can discuss. We'll laugh. We'll, some wild things happen this season, so
I'm here for it all.
So we're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, here we go. Make sure I start from the beginning.
What is a yes person?
I mean, I know it sounds simple, but it's a harmful person, and I mean that honestly, right? We're having a very honest conversation. That when you think of a yes person, you think of someone who sees you walking off a cliff, and they're not going to tell you you're walking off a cliff. They'll say you're going good, you're going on the right path. Or if they see you on a path of destruction, doing something destructive, they see you ordering 1,000 bottles of whatever,
Baby dirt.
whatever. It's not sold at Costco's, whatever it is, in any U.S. state. But anyway, let me move on. So they see you ordering something. They see you buying something. They see you maybe flying people in from all over the world. Okay. Injecting people with things. They see you doing this and they don't tell you that it's a bad idea. And they don't, or they say it kind of in a weak way, right? Yes, people will just be like, yep, you're doing good. You're doing great. And what I said to one was, all right, that's the first clip.
It was the emojis for me.
Right.
We have to get the full idea, because Dominique said baby dirt, so I want people to know.
But you know what? This is so. Although that was the first episode, but it's very much. I mean, we seeing it right now in these good United States of America, and having yes people around, especially when you have such power and influence, it is so important to surround yourself and be okay with accountability partners and having that community because you will go on a rampage and just be rampaging and people messing people up. So it stays true even now, you know. Was that was the just to know that that was the first episode, and now what we're seeing is hopefully see y'all need to send this over to the good old White House so that they could listen to all the videos too, so people could understand about it.
They do. I mean, we need to send it to Elon Musk, who is commander in chief
Right.
at the present moment. We
Jeez.
want to make
The
sure
one that
we want to
wasn't
make sure it
voted
gets into the right hands.
Right, right.
But I completely agree. Just to jump in, like now more than ever, if there was never a time to need someone to hold you accountable, to be around a circle who doesn't just pick yes, yes, yes. Now is the time. And this is the phrase I keep saying, like discernment is not choosing between right and wrong. It's choosing between what is right and what appears right. Like that's just how it is now. And we need people in our corner, we need people in our circle who are close to us who are going to say that doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right, that's not it. And if we reject that, then we're walking into a world of danger. So I'm in agreement with you, like this is the time. We can't have yes people around us. It's dangerous for our health, and it's detrimental for our journey, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm glad you said dangerous, because it really is. It's dangerous to our progression. It's dangerous to the people we come in contact with, because like they say these days, if you out here in Delulu land, you're gonna keep crashing into stuff because you can't be enabled and think you're going to progress forward. Right? Like the the premise behind episode 1 was, Diddy do it. And it's like we just let things happen, and whether it's because of status, whether it's because of money, whether it's because of influence, like we just be letting people be doing stuff. And it's like, who are you helping? And who are you influencing? And who are you hurting because you are not being corrected and you have been surrounded by yes people? It's a dangerous thing to be walking around here thinking, like we were just talking about Elon Musk, like you got voted into the White House and now you can look at everybody's funds. Like, who are you? You don't even originate your own stuff, sir. So like, hands off, bro, hands off. But no, yes, people.
No, and the White House is showing us, like, this is what happens when you have a yes person around you. Government, the politics, everything is showing us this is exactly what happens when all of that accumulates. This is the situation that occurs, right what we're going through, what you guys are going through.
I'm about to come down there.
All right, you know what? Just pray for our country.
Yet praying.
But that was a good clip. That was a good episode.
Yeah, we came out the gate ready.
Yeah, guns blazing.
Guns blazing. All right, clip number 2.
You need to let me prove that I'm worthy of your love. But you dropped everything and your heart is so open and wide. And we've known each other 2 days and you're already trying to pay a Lobolo and you're trying to bring me to my dad. See that? You need a boundary. And I'm like, let me show that you need a boundary because you're way too open. That's how we get destroyed. That's how we get hurt. But there's an author that said even Jesus.
Okay, that's the next clip. Y'all, like,
shout out to Stephanie.
Yeah, that video always had me dying because what in the world?
I mean,
Alabola.
After just a few days, I said, sir,
Jesus,
if you don't get gone now.
Yeah. That
He
was a
said
good
he
one.
knew what he saw and he wanted to lock it down with the
Right.
goats and things.
With the go and things. And yeah.
You go.
Boundaries are necessary. People.
Boundaries are
Mhm.
necessary. Oh
No,
my
they really
goodness.
are. They really are. And that was such a good episode. It really helped us. It really shaped us for the rest of the season because we decided to incorporate boundaries in every
Yeah.
other episode, like some form
Yeah.
of it, because the conversation was so good. It was so rich. It was so filling. And I mean, the good thing about it is like we're living this too. I think it's good to hear that because it's not just like, oh, we're just like trying to preach at somebody or just tell someone something. Like we're living this
Yeah.
too. We're right here with everybody.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think I know that boundaries one, and I know, well, you already kind of showed a little bit of the clip that's about to come, but
It's on the way.
but
It's on the way.
there's certain gems that they just stay forever. Like you never forget them. And that boundary episode was so good because I think we touched on so many different aspects of it. The main thing was just more of like how we put up a boundary, and we'll put up a boundary as something that can maybe protect in one time, but then we hold that boundary, so we keep living with that same boundary. And sometimes we're healed and we're still walking around like there's danger all around us,
Yep.
and we constantly have this wall that we now have built, which started off as a boundary, but now it's just this complete like blockage, nothing coming in, nothing coming out, and there's no need for it anymore. Like we've gone past this. We God has shown us so many other people that do love us and do cherish us and whatever it may be, and now we're still walking around with this heavy armor on, and we can actually take it off and get in our PJs and be comfortable,
Come on.
so that was a really good episode. Like that really stuck with me. That was such a good episode.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, like Steph said, like we personally had to overcome our own boundary issues, right? And one thing I said, I was like, my boundaries were so flexible, you might as well call them rubber. Because I mean, I was bending and moving and rearranging my boundaries, and I thought it was to make things better for me when I didn't realize I was making it worse. Because I'm like, Jermaine, ma'am, no, because now people treat you how they want to, and you are just sitting here letting it happen because your boundaries are horrible. And when we have conversations like this, it really brings revelations not just to y'all but to us as well. And we really
Mhm.
sometimes sit with self and it's like that might have been something that I was missing that I didn't realize before. But this is
Yeah.
the importance of having conversation and talking things through with a trusted and safe space, because when you come to those realizations, it's not like they're going to judge you. It's like, wow, yeah, no, let's walk you through it and hold you
Right.
accountable because we're not yes people.
Yeah.
So,
Hello. All the episodes flow right into each other, and I think that's a good segue into this next clip, which
Mm-hmm.
is definitely a highlight from the season because it
Yes.
just it rocked
Yes.
us. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Had boundaries. There was the three M's that he used.
Go.
Hold on, wait a minute. Here she goes. Let me get You got the three M's. The last one demolished us. So come on. Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
I'm ready for you today. Let's do it. I'm ready. So there are people that Jesus had meals with. Jesus had meals with just about anybody. Everyone was welcome to the table because he's like, I'm not here to save the well. I'm here for the sick. So that means I'm going to have meals with everybody. And then there's ministry. He had 12. He shared his ministry. He was like, I'm going to prepare y'all for the ministry because I have to leave at some point and I need y'all to be ready. But then there was the misery. And he only had 3 disciples that were allowed to see Jesus at his most vulnerable moments. It's like, it's up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That was so good. Oh, that was so good. That stayed with me. That when I tell you, when you laid that out the way you did in the time that you did, I was like, you know what? Let me see who I need to start. I had people in different file cabinets. I had to move I had to move the people because you never, I think especially exactly the misery. See, heavy.
Mm,
See,
heavy.
we still way down from it, Yolanda. We still way down because we typically think when we hear Jesus or we think about Jesus, we formulate this picture of like this sweet but weak man.
Yes.
Sometimes I think like, oh, like when when people in the church they be like, oh, you gotta love everybody and da 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 da, and it makes you feel like there should be no boundaries. It makes you feel like you have to take on everything sometimes. And when I hear that, I'm like, man, Jesus was the true example of what boundaries really did look like. Like what that really did look like. The fact
True.
that there were only 3 that came with him to prayer. Only 3 of you were able, out of all these people, whether it be the 12 or the full-on people that was there for the food and the entertainment, those 3 people heard the misery. I mean, because they were able to write a gospel that showcased exactly what they saw and heard.
Mhm.
So just to know that it's okay to have a select few in that close circle and in that close proximity and make that okay. I mean, that when I tell you freeing, because a lot of us feel like we have to deal with it, or we just have to deal with the fact that they like this. You got to love your brothers. You got to love. Who said love is just dealing with it? Who said love was dealing with disrespect and toxic behavior? Like who told us that that's what that was?
That's good.
So that gem right there, I mean, when I tell you has changed my life, my entire life. So
Yeah.
praise
Yeah.
the Lord.
That was number 2. That was episode number 2. That was
That's
boundaries.
right. I got to go back and listen to the whole
Yeah.
thing, Yolanda. I'm telling you, listen to the whole thing.
It was on point. And it was like we got delivered right in that moment. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Right as you were saying it,
Mhm.
immediately, just what you were saying, Dominique, like the categorization of people was instant. Like
Instant.
and immediate, and it took the pressure off.
Yeah.
When you put people in the right category, it takes the pressure off.
That's good.
And then you said, don't move the boundary, move the people. Like,
Move the
Mhm.
people.
no, move the
Move the
people.
people.
Yeah.
Don't
Mhm.
move the boundary. Our boundaries are firm. Our boundaries, we've determined that it's not a defense mechanism, that it's not the
Right.
armor that you're talking about. It's not that it is a necessary boundary.
Yeah.
Then you better move those people, and you better
Yeah.
move them to where they need to be, so
Mhm.
that we don't have meal people and misery people and all that in ministry. And it's just like, Jermaine, it was so profound, and
It was
it
so
just,
good.
again, that episode set the tone for the rest of the
It
season.
did. It really
It
did.
uh,
Like we anticipated all the M's, S's, and T's, every 3 that you gave us. We was anticipating. I was
we
like,
were
Mhm.
this is my book,
Mhm.
you guys. It was ready.
exactly.
It was ready.
Exactly.
Listen, I even when I was saying it, it made and Dominique when she said move, to me that was also profound. Like I feel like that had to go hand in hand with the M, is that don't move the boundary, move the people.
Yeah.
And I think where we mess up is we keep people because of familiarity, because of longevity, because of shame, guilt, fear, doubt, or whatever it was. And when I tell you these 7-8 months have been me not having to move the boundary, but moving the people and putting them in their proper places, like there's a 3P. Putting people in their proper places. But it's necessary. Like you have to put the people like where they are supposed to be, right? Because
Supposed to be.
I saw this preacher and he was saying that sometimes we put people in the wrong places, and that's the detriment. That's the thing that we are tripping up over, because we turn temporary assignments into long friendships.
Yeah.
Right. And we can't keep doing that. We have to be like, okay, like we understand that we are assigned to people. We understand that people come and go, that people are here to drop off gems and then keep it moving. Like once, and I had to learn that myself. I had to learn, like, just because they cool and they did something great, Jermaine, you don't have to keep them around. Like maybe they were only supposed to be here for 3 months and you 3 years later still have them there. You know, so it's like,
I love this, but yes, move the people, not the boundary.
Yeah,
Not the boundary.
move them quick, not the
Quick,
boundary.
quick, fast, and in a
Move
hurry.
them
Don't.
quick, not the
Yeah,
boundary though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Don't move the boundary because we've been moving the boundary,
Oh
and
yeah.
it only hurts ourselves.
Yeah.
It
exactly.
only causes pain and hurt to ourselves, and it's like, no, move the people. We drop our expectations. Some people are not meant to be in a certain category, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that we just unpacked that episode, and we were really able to say too, like when you have dealt with, when you're healing and recovering from abandonment rejection issues, you will see that your boundaries are all over the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's important to recognize and be aware of what we're dealing with personally, and that can pinpoint, like, why are my boundaries so weak, or why am I just so quick to like let go of my boundaries or release that? No, like, we have to know ourselves so we can know, now these boundaries have to stay in place. But the people, we mean parents, we mean siblings, we mean cousins, we mean
Mm-hmm.
coworkers, we mean
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
church members, we mean everybody. No one's exempt. You know what I
No
mean?
one.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. That was good. No one. No one is exempt from it. Move
no
them.
one.
Move them
Okay.
quickly. Okay.
Quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
It's almost like we unintentionally enter into a rites of passage. It goes back to the hazing, where if someone was molested, if a woman, an older woman, let's say in her 70s and 80s, she was molested when she was younger, right? And then she sees the same signs happening maybe in a grandchild. She's like, oh, I don't want to say anything if I had to go through it. They have to. Sometimes that mentality is so warped. They're like, well, I had to go through it, so
You
you
gotta
have
go
to
through it.
do. I do not. I will not. I shan't. And do not put me through this
Dad.
I shan't. Let me bring up the old English just in case someone needs to understand it in that way. Okay, multilingual. That should not be occurring because it's wrong, and you know it's
Come on.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I
It
want to
was
say I want to say this. These are my sisters, but they let me cut a fool every episode. And and I'm like, come on.
It ain't like we know it's coming.
exactly
Once it's out. It's like
I was just about to say it's we are
Kill
just
that noise.
as in shock
Kill that
as everyone else. By the time we want to come, it's already out. We got to clean up now. We can't.
Kill that noise. Y'all just let me be wild on here. I'm like, no one said anything.
Right.
it's your authentic self, and that's what we're here
And we
for.
love it. And we love it. So it's nothing to cut off. But in realness, though, what you were talking about
Yeah.
was like, whew, that was a deep hurt because that's what happens. Like
Girl.
this cleanup on out. Matt, get
Okay,
Matt might as well been the
Stick
fourth
around, my
one.
brother. Stick around, my brother. He's for the foolishness. Stick around, my brother.
but for real, like there is this, like you said, the perfect word, like hazing. It's just this constant feeling that, okay, well, I had to, you got to, you got to, you got to. And I'm like,
Can't.
why are we passing around garbage like we don't smell that it stinks, like we don't see that we can't eat it? Like this is absolutely insane. Just like, here you go, here's my trash, treat it like a treasure. No, it's trash. It should have been in the garbage a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like it has no place here. And we have decided that this trauma, this abuse, this whatever has a place here. When we decide that we're just going to keep letting it happen and turning a blind eye, we say, all right, this trash now has a place here. It needs to be sitting right here. And we become okay with that. We're okay with filth. We're okay with vomit. We're okay with like, we're just okay with feces. We're okay with it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out, when do we break that, right? When do we decide that we're going to break that? Because it's not okay. So that episode, I think we spoke to those that are going to decide and commit to being the one that is the change, whether it be in family, whether it be right now in society. It may take a lot. It's going to take a lot for you to be bold and be the one that's speaking out against all the other ones that are saying, whatever. It's going to be hard to be the one that's going against the common tradition. But when you do, there will be a liberty, not only for you, but for those that are coming behind you, so that they
Come
don't
on.
have to feel that pain, because
Yeah.
it's a pain that they don't need to feel if we just take care of it properly.
Yeah. That's good.
That thing was
That's
so
good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
because
that,
we. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just gonna say really quick, that was number 3, that was past the plate, and we were talking about
That's the play.
being
There
the
you go.
generational
That makes
curse
sense.
breaker. I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we do really pass it on. Like, just because we prettied it up and just because it looks different doesn't mean it's still trash. Like, the hard part about breaking generational curses is that, for one, you might be the only one in a lineage of people who have tried and is determined
Might be the
to
only
break
one.
it, right? But then on the other end, it's like people are shamed for not wanting to continue cycles. Like, oh, so you think you're better? And it's like, no, I just don't want to carry the
That's it.
pain and the toxic tendencies and the behaviors that clearly aren't good and clearly are detrimental to my mental health and well-being. So why am I being villainized for trying to be better? Like, I
Right.
deserve to be better. And
Right.
sometimes people follow suit, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you just have to be uh bold enough and have the right amount of courage to be like, you know what, this ends here, because
Yeah.
I will not pass this down to my kids. And I
Absolutely.
don't want them to be comfortable. So, like, if they call it out in me, call it out in me. Like,
Yes.
yeah, they're my kids, but it's like, if they see something that clearly isn't supposed to be, it got to go.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it does. And I love the visual of the trash,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that nobody in their right mind would pick up a bag of trash, like in this realm, would pick up a bag of trash, carry it around. It's stinking, flies are there, it's dripping, it's decomposing. Oh, there's so much stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would carry that around,
Yeah.
and then nobody would pass that down to their children, to their grandchildren, to their younger family members. Nobody would do that, but that's exactly what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We have a trash bag that was passed down, and we just have it in our hand, and
Mhm.
instead of letting it go and putting it where it belongs, we just keep taking it. That visual is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, right, we try to spray perfume on it, body oil, we try to put incense.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it's easier. And some families really make it very easy to be a follower,
Oh yeah.
and if you want to get rid of the trash, if you're tired of that smell, that stench following you, then right, you're looked at as, you think
I
you're
think you're
better
better.
than us,
Right.
because we refuse the trash, because
Right.
we refuse to pick up the bag, the
Right.
stinking bag with flies
Right.
and all type of nastiness, and the perfume doesn't work. When you smell perfume that's been sprayed on funk, like, it smells even worse. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, like, this is
Right.
nasty.
Mm-hmm.
You could try to light an incense, you could try to do whatever. The smell is still going to be there, and we have to let that trash go.
Yeah. I think about, like, if people, when people say like, oh, you think you better, or when they have the mindset or this thought pattern of you think you better because I'm picking up some trash, like, I find that to be absolutely ironic. So I think it's crazy, because I
Foolish.
think I would turn around and just be like, do you not think you're better than this trash? Like, do you not think you're better than this? I,
That's what it
I
is.
hear your question to me, but I pose this question to you. Do you
Yikes.
not think you're better than this to pick up the trash yourself and not deal with this
Yeah.
thing? And it's like, I would have to pose that question to you, because
Mhm.
what are we doing? Like, you were okay with this you were okay with this happening, and this is the true reason why we say things like misery loves company,
Yes.
because the fact that you have a mindset that says, well, I went through it, so
You got it.
this is supposed to happen, or this,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
me, that is such a lack of love. There
Yeah.
is no way. Like, I'm just think I wouldn't even work that on my enemy, let alone somebody that I
My,
say I care
my
about and
worst
love.
enemy.
Like, that is absolutely insane. So I would pose that question. You think you're better than me? Do you not think you're better than this trash? Do you not think you're better than this toxic behavior? Do you not think you're better than this abuse?
That's right.
Okay. That's the conversation we need to have, because I clearly am picking up this trash. So it's been
Yeah,
sitting here for years. So
for
someone has
years.
to. Yeah.
Somebody has to.
Hmm.
And that's what I like about just the podcast in general. we're giving very practical solutions, right, to our everyday issues. We all have issues with families. I mean, families go through things, you know what I mean? And there's generational trauma here, there, and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is this, like, we can speak up and we can say, no, this isn't right. This isn't what we're going to be doing. And we can push back. I love that. Yeah, you don't think you're better than this, or you don't.
Yeah.
That's a great question to pose, because
Yeah.
it puts the responsibility back on the person.
Yeah.
You're trying to shame me for not wanting the trash. You're trying to guilt me into picking back
Yeah.
up the trash. You should feel bad for keeping the trash and
Yeah.
making the trash a part of your life.
That's good.
Right.
That's
Like
good.
that's what you decided to do. Okay. Yeah. Sound like you mad. You're mad because you didn't do it, or you didn't have the strength to do it. So
Or
now
the
that
courage.
I'm doing it, right. So now I'm doing it, and you feel some type of way about yourself.
Clearly.
Because
Yeah.
what
Let's-
you wanted
let's be
to do,
clear.
you just didn't do it. You couldn't do it for whatever reason. Like you said, courage or whatever it was, you didn't do it. So now that you see someone doing it, it causes you to somewhat hate yourself. To be honest, you now walk in resentment. You now
It's
want to
self-hate.
sit there. It really is. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good one. We could talk about that for days. Y'all know
We
that.
could. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
And we all made the decision that we're not passing any plates down. Thank you.
Absolutely
It's
not.
all good.
I'm good to go. Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
All right, here we go. This is another this is another good clip. It started a trend every episode. Here we go.
Come on, leave it at the door. Leave it at the door. Let me tell you what you need. That bad mac and cheese, you leave it at the door, and then you leave the spirit of offense at the door too. Leave it all at the door. Leave it at the door.
Leave it at the door at the runny mac and cheese.
Yeah, leave it at the door.
We're gonna have to take a count as to how many times this girl bring us back.
Oh man.
Stephanie, why do you have that?
No, the question is, why did we mention that 10 times? That's the real question.
Because
Don't
let me
ask
tell you something. Why you can't cook mac and cheese? And if you can't cook mac and cheese, why you bringing it? Leave it home. Leave it home. Leave it home. Leave it home.
She never reported back whether she had some good mac and cheese.
It was
Never.
bad.
We
It was
waited.
bad. It was
Oh,
bad.
Oh no.
It was bad.
After all that,
It was
all that
bad.
time, no, baby, no.
It was bad. You see, this is what I be talking about.
Yo.
See, we was talking about offense in that particular moment, that spirit of
Right.
offense. You know, you always being offended by stuff. See, what had happened was see, the person that made it didn't want to take this is not to offend you. This is me personally telling you, hey, look, you know, you can't do it like you used to no more. So let me do it. And you ain't want to let me. So we had bad mac and cheese.
Oh,
I
after
told
all
you
that.
I told you to leave it right there because I'm gonna talk about you. I'm gonna talk about you all. Because why you did that? Why did you do that? Why did you bring? Why? Run, and it's runny, and you had the nerve to have the runny mac and cheese on the the liquid. No, not acceptable. Not acceptable.
If you can't tell how passionate Dominique was about this, I mean, 10 times that mac and cheese was, and that was just in that episode.
That
And then
episode alone.
every episode
Praise God.
after that,
Praise
mac and
God.
cheese
Praise
was
God.
brought up. Oh,
Praise God.
bless her.
Praise God.
Oh, bless her.
Hallelujah. I just made some mac and cheese and it was good too.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
yeah. And
It was good.
hopefully you'll be allowed to continue to do it, you know,
Yeah,
because,
people not offended.
well, you know, we shall see. You know, we shall see. And that was
Thank you. What cause?
Prophetess Sherry, please. We're begging you.
That's a prophetess. See? Come on.
We're begging you to please don't indulge in this nonsense, please.
Hey.
Oh boy.
Hey.
Anyway,
bring
Steph was saying the episode is about.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yes. That was Family Feuds and Holiday Blues.
See,
Okay.
that was the holiday blues.
Yeah, we were talking about what happens with family, and then Dominique was very uh passionate about the mac and cheese, but for good reason. Because all jokes aside, the mac and cheese ended up bad, and when we don't allow for a change of the guard, or we don't allow for other people to come in, I mean, we can apply that to anything where our families are going on, going on, going on. And if you squash out and if you quiet the younger generation, we see that happening in the church. We see that happening in politics. We see that happening at our jobs, right? That people are so afraid of progress that you quench out progress and you
Yeah.
snuff out and you kill out.
Ooh, that's
And then
dangerous.
you have bad mac and cheese. And I hate to bring it up, but it's true. The analogy was on point.
Sure would.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
It'll make a break. It'll make a break. So hopefully that won't be an issue next year. Hopefully you'll be able to make the mac and cheese and have it be good.
I hope
Or
so.
we'll be here again hearing
We
about
will.
it.
We will. You surely will. It'll come back
So
around.
there we
Surely
go.
will.
Come right back around.
But I do want to say in that episode, one of the main things that really stuck out to me was we were talking about when we do come together as families and when we want to see change, also being the change that we want to see.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about when we come to these events, if you come in and you mad that everybody got a bad attitude, but then you came with a bad attitude too, you can't really say too much because you're feeding into the same problem. You're investing into the same problem. So until you take your investment into another place, you're gonna keep getting what you're planting, right? So every time. So we talked about that. So next time, you know what I'm gonna do, y'all? Next time, I'm gonna just make the mac and cheese and bring it.
Just make it. Exactly.
I'm just bring it and be like, look, y'all need to try the mac and cheese.
Okay. You know, Dominique, you said something to me years ago that always stuck with me. You said that we have to be the models to the older generation. I will never forget that. That was many moons ago.
Yeah.
But it shaped and guided the way that I interacted with different generations.
Yeah.
That some people just need to see a model.
Yeah.
Yes, you just bring the mac and cheese and people will taste it for themselves and they'll throw that runny mess out and they won't scoop it up.
They'll be like that. Yeah, they'll make you. Hey, you could bring the mac and cheese next time. They'll make you that. You may get a couple of looks because they be like, wait a minute.
Yeah, who she think she is?
Hold up. But once they start to see that, you'll start seeing change. It's just that little seed will start little sprout. This is just gonna be everywhere. So
everywhere.
Next time, all right, y'all. We ain't gonna even have to hear this because next time I'm gonna make the mac and cheese. And
that's it. Solutions. That's what we're about. Solutions.
Solution focused. Amen.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
I mean, immediately I'm thinking, do we even have enough space in ourselves, in our hearts and our minds to receive the harvest? Yeah. Have we made enough room? Have we given out enough? If we keep so much wheat in our storehouse, sometimes that stuff will spoil and go bad. Are we giving out enough? Are we making sure that our storehouse is continuously in a cycle of receiving and giving and pushing out and back and forth? Because when the harvest comes and then you don't have space for it, what do you do with it? A lot of crops spoil, a lot of things die, and then it's a waste for everybody. And when I'm even saying cleaning out and making sure we have enough room, are we healing? Are we making sure that we're doing our due diligence to really empty ourselves and to really make sure that we have the space to receive what we've asked for? That's immediately what I'm thinking of. Like, you can maybe even...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you're muted.
We don't want to miss none of that.
Yeah, because it looks like you're about to go in.
So what I was saying was seed time and harvest was my personal journey, and it's still a thing right now for 2025 because what we fail to realize is everything is a seed. Every word is a seed. Every action is a seed, and we can't be mad when we start to, as the Bible will say, reap the harvest, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And I love that when Steph was talking about it, because I ain't got a green thumb worth the look of nothing. My thumb is as brown as my skin. But one thing I do know is in order to plant the seed and expect it to grow, you have to clear house. You have to make sure the soil is ready and everything is put together. And I think sometimes we're just like, God, I want increase and I want this. And he's like, you didn't even prepare for nothing, first of all.
Hello.
You made no room.
My
You
God.
I'm going to pour into the things that you have already contaminated.
Yeah.
That's a wasted lesson, and God don't waste nothing. So it's
Nothing.
like we have to make
That's
sure
real good.
that we can, as we're praying for like God to do something, I'm also doing work as well. I am making room for
Yeah.
the increase, because if you have a, I don't know, like a closet that's full of stuff, putting more stuff in there, like, first of all, it's going to get lost. And secondly, it's just amongst the mess, and you might forget it's even there. So it's like, make the space and remember that you can't reap the same time you sow. So don't be mad if you're like, I did this and I'm expecting. It's like, give it some time.
Yeah.
And let it grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like what you said about the closet, because we can have an abundance of things, but if we're not using them, or if we don't have the space to clean things out and say, this is too old, I need to make room, all of it goes to waste.
Yeah.
All of it spoils. We use nothing and we lose everything. And so it's like, I love that while we're preparing for our harvest, we need to prepare ourselves,
Yeah.
that we're making sure that we have enough space to receive it, that the old grain, the old harvest needs to get thrown out. Some of it's wasted and spoiled because we let it sit too long. But this new harvest, we know we got to get it in and get it out, to make sure we have enough space. So it's really something to think about, like, what does it look like for us to have enough space we are begging harvest, the heavens are open. We're doing all these songs and all these prophetic decrees and declarations and all these stuff. The harvest comes, and then the harvest is like, wait, where am I going? Where am I going exactly? You called heaven down for me. I mean, you had the angelic host rush this harvest to you.
Yeah.
Where is it going, and where should I put it, because it's gonna spoil out here. So what's going on?
Yeah. I think we tend to forget that when we talk about God giving you something and you planting that and using that and giving that out and cleaning house, it's he gives those that have used that and given it out and have more room now, he gives them more. The one that buried it, he was just like, you know what, let me just take this and give it to this person because they clearly know what to do with it, right? So, and I probably said this in that episode, but I just think about all the times that, when we're young, how we don't learn like of credit, or we don't learn how to fix the car, or we don't learn how to do these little things for whatever reason. Like, I remember people just telling me like, oh, you're not old enough to know about credit. What? Like, okay, so when am I old enough? Now that I'm mid trying to buy a house and don't know nothing? Like, how does this work? Right. It doesn't make sense. We must prepare in everything. So we prepare our children for life. How can we say we're preparing for the best if we withhold things because we feel like they're too young?
Right.
Like, okay, maybe they won't understand at 3, but there are fundamental things that you can teach so that when it does get time and you do have the conversation, it starts to make sense. But there's always a way to pour into and get it out, to get out that wisdom, to release it. Like, there's a way. Why are we gatekeeping information? Like, let it go. Let it go. We need to hear it too. So,
Very, 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 very true. Powerful, very, very powerful episode.
yeah.
Very insightful. All right, let me play the next clip.
Get your hair back. You can might get your edges back. Like, it's so many things that you can get back. But my time, you can't give me that. Like, you cannot give me my time back. So I would love for us to talk on that and just however you did it, because my God, 8 children is my God.
And speaking of, not being, not being able to get your time back, that's why it's important that we're careful what we entertain and what we do. Everything, like we've been saying, everything has to be intentional. What will this benefit my day?
Mm.
Will this benefit my bank account? Will this benefit knowledge that I need to give to my kids? Will this uplift another individual? Will this allow me to get sleep? We need to stop and ask ourselves these questions.
Mm.
What I'm doing, what I'm about to do, what I'm thinking about, how does that help with cooking?
Woo.
The dangers of the mind, ladies and gentlemen. I was just having a conversation with my friend about this yesterday, about the now I'm not a biologist, but I do love me some science. And obviously I'm a therapist, so the brain is a part of knowing how to do my job. But like
Right.
when I was talking about memory, right? And how the brain is conditioned to store things in certain compartments because it has to make room for more. And the way that the brain starts to decipher between short term and long term is the repetition that we give it. So if I keep repeating negative thing after negative thing, I'm telling my brain, like, we need this. And this is important for whatever reason. And our brain's like, okay, cool, stored in long-term memory. It's not until we remind our brain that this is no longer useful is when the brain can be like, cool, we don't need that memory. We don't need that thing. And so if we aren't intentional about, and this is why positive affirmations are essential to being healed, right? Is because I'm now switching the language in my mind and I'm giving my brain something else to hold on to so that it's not the trash, it's not the family traumas, it's not, excuse me, personal traumas that we've gone through, but I'm now replacing it with something like, girl, we can make it, or sir, we can make it. You are beautiful, you are needed, you are loved, you are appreciated, you're stronger than you believe, and you're wiser than you believe, in all of these things. And this essentially your spirit man starts to lift up and your shoulders go back, your head gets lifted up a little bit because you have now been intentional with what you're telling yourself. And that's how the brain works, y'all.
Yeah, very intentional. I think it goes right into the next episode. I think we started talking about that, but it's so crazy how everything flowed. Everything really flowed in a perfect way. It flowed in a perfect way.
It was a beautiful thread, and it was like, and we were so grateful to have our guests, Samitria, and she was talking about her book, Minute Meditations, and she was dropping gems, and it just was the way that it needed to be, because when you talk about those positive affirmations that you were mentioning, Jermaine, it's like we need that reinforcement. Because there's a war and a battle going on. So we need the army of affirmations to keep coming and beating down those negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are there all the time. We don't have to try to convince them to come. We don't have to invite them. They're just there. Like innately they're there. So we have to combat them with the positive affirmations, and intentionality is key. So that was spot on and really on point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Awesome.
I was making tacos. And I was making tacos. And I like jalapenos in my tacos. And I cut it, and I was like, there was so many seeds in this one jalapeno. It was so amazing. And I don't, it's so crazy because this was actually before we spoke about, this. And I'm like, man, this is standing out to me because, like we said, it has to die. That jalapeno died because I cut it up. I put it in my tacos. That baby died.
It was a massacre.
Oh my God. You was but there was so much seeds that and it's crazy. I took it and I told my husband, I said, don't touch that napkin because I'm going to take these and I'm going to try to plant. I'm going to try. I don't have a green thumb, but my mom really does. So she's going to work with me to do it.
We don't need a new.
Ah, man. So good.
Jalapeno.
I had to give the jalapeno its props. Like, it had to die.
A proper burial.
Unless a seed falls to the ground and dies. It cannot do anything else. You know what I mean? It cannot go forth. It cannot bear fruit. So that was dope. And it was practical.
Yeah.
How many people cut open a pepper, a jalapeno, and anything, a tomato, and seen the seeds? Like, that was perfect. It was the perfect visualization for people.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know if we talked about it during the episode, but as we were talking about the RIP to the jalapeno, and something had to go down in order for something to come up, it reminded me of, this is why when people come to Christ, you have to understand he died.
Mm-hmm.
He went down for everything that we do, for everything that comes against us. And because he died, life came from his death, right?
Yeah.
And yes, he's living right now. But you know, the things that we have to let die so that we can make room for the things of life to come. And it's like, even with death, there's always life, right? And it reminded me of like Black funerals. Like, I don't know what it is about Black people. Some Black families never get together until it's a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hold on, we out here living life.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me the only time we get together is at a funeral? That's
Wow.
crazy. But I think to go to that point about something has to die and the seeds have to be planted and all this other stuff is when we continue in life, we have to be very intentional and very mindful of, am I existing or am I just living? Two different things, right? I don't want to waste every day and the blessings that I have just to exist. You know what I mean? Like, I want to live. And I don't want to slap Jesus in the face and be like, I appreciate you dying and you did that.
But
Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to say that.
Right. Mm-hmm. That was good.
I don't know if he said that, but I just
We probably did. No, boy, probably didn't. To be honest, there'd be so many gems coming out of us. I don't even know.
so many and so much more. Like we only have right, exactly. Stop letting the funeral home play in our family reunions.
Come
Precisely.
on, girl.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on a Facebook. It was a Facebook post of a young boy, and he grabbed that mic and he said what he said, and I was like, you know what? That's so true. Like, that's what we do. We are letting the funeral home play in our family reunions, and it's the only time we see each other, and the only time we show love, and it's quite it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, true. And people start crying and falling out. It's like your family member lived right down the street, and what happened?
Right.
What? You
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's resolution. We need a better planting process. We need a better planting process. New Year's resolution. Nah, we need to make sure that we're sectioning off our gardens. That even before we put the seed in, like you said, Dominique, before we put the seed in, plot out what we want to plant and where we want to plant it and how spaced out it needs to be. And are we making sure that the hydrangeas are under the sun because they need 80% sun? And are we making sure that the rain, like, are we really doing this? Are we really making sure that we're doing that? Because we don't need any more New Year's resolutions. We don't need any more opportunities for ourselves to be depressed because we don't accomplish them. We don't need to cause any more anxiety and all that vortex of foolishness. We don't need to be there. What are we planting and what is the process? But y'all say I
Let me pause that
because what are we talking about? Tacos and pencils is absolutely crazy.
We need the practicality. Okay, we need it. We need people to know this is how you apply this. Like with this jalapeno, with this pencil, but. Nah, like I don't know. It's just that seed time and harvest. That was a great episode.
That was
like it very impactful because it really causes introspection. Like you can't look externally. Everyone has their own garden to plant. We all have our own gardens. If I'm too busy looking at YouTube's garden, then it's like my garden will be neglected and my harvest won't come up. So, dag, like we don't need any more New Year's resolution. Let's be done with it.
I think what you said just it's about like how what is our planting process like that question alone is if that doesn't make you really analyze what you're doing and how you're when you take a seed and you plant it, that's not just it, right? Like I can't just say, all right, here's my resolution. I'm put it out. No, you have to nourish it. You have to take proper steps to make sure that it's growing and you're getting to whatever the goal is. So if I say, oh, I want to lose 100 pounds, I can just be like, all right, I'm losing 100 pounds, y'all. No, it's work that comes with that. You need to be going to the gym. You need to be changing how you're eating. You need to be saying no to the food that you're not supposed to be eating. Like
Mama.
it's certain things that come with that, and we just I don't know what we be doing. But it's just we just the process of planting is so wrong. Like I remember when I was a little girl and I saw, and I thought about like farmers and flowers and stuff. At that young age, I didn't understand a planting process. But as you grow up, you start to realize that there really is a planning process. But what I'm seeing now is we have a lot of grown up kids. Like we still don't understand that for this flower to be what it was, there was a whole process that came. There was a whole process that happened. This flower went through many stages to get to where it needs to go to be and blossom the way it's showing up now. The way you're buying it in the store, the way you're putting it in the vase, it went through a process. And we naturally just feel like, all right, some of us, we feel like, okay, we said it, now we just gonna have faith that it's here. No, it's some works that come with that too.
Yeah.
It's some works. I believe in this thing so much that I'm willing to invest my time. I believe in this thing so much that I'm willing to invest my money. I believe in this thing so much I'm willing to invest my energy. Like that's what faith means. Like I believe in God so much that I am gonna change my lifestyle because I just believe in Him so much. It's not just the thought of belief. It's
Not
the
just thought.
it's the I believe in this so much. I have to. I can't help but to pour into this thing. So I think we just have a lot of grown-up kids that are just thinking that I'm going to be a flower and bloom at the time it's supposed to bloom. No, no, because without that flower dies. That flower doesn't even make it to the store. Ever.
Can't.
Ever. That was such a good episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Preach.
It
Preach.
it reminded me of when I I'm always in moments of reflection, right?
Yeah.
And I have been struggling with my weight for years, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until this year where I made I made the intention. I'm like, you know what? It's not about the weight. It's about changing my relationship with food, right?
Yeah.
And I considered the concept of resolutions and how they don't last because we think a process has to come like this. Like, okay, I worked and I did a thing, but where are the results? And that's why they don't continue. Instead, it's like, let me set an intention and let me create a system so that everything that I do from here on out, it's to get me closer, not just to that goal, but to a better me. Right. And so it's not like, yeah, it would be great if I can look down on the scale and see some numbers that I ain't seen since I was in high school. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But I have to every day, like Dominique was saying, I could go to the store because the Lord blesses us with money. I could go into that snack section and get all the things because unhealthy food is way cheaper than the healthy stuff. But I realize I used to go into stores and I'm like, oh, look at the food. Look at those candies and look at all the things. And I would go get it. Now I'm like, okay, anyway, moving on. Or I would see a fast food commercial. I'm like, yo, I know that's not what it looks like by the time I get to that fast food restaurant. But now I want it. Now I can watch a whole cheeseburger, McDonald's, Burger King commercial and be like, okay, now let's get back to the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't realize that, but I'm like, it all started with like a shift of mind and intentionality where I was like, it's not about the number. It's about doing life better and creating a system that I can now live off of. And that's when change comes.
Yeah.
It's true. And that's true seed time and harvest. Like you put a seed in the ground and you take care of the seed, you water it, you make sure it has the right nutrients and all that.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that you mentioned, okay, changing the relationship that, you have with food. Like, that's the process. Like, wait a minute. I'm in a toxic, narcissistic relationship with food, and I want to get out, and that can be applied to whatever. Some people don't struggle with that. That can be applied to anything that we want this seed to come up and we want this to grow into some big beanstalk. And we haven't even nurtured it. All we did was put the seed in the soil, and it wasn't even good soil. So we shouldn't be expecting anything.
That part.
Okay.
That part.
All right, I'm just gonna run this back a little bit because I want to make sure that we're getting the full explanation about the pencil.
Right, because what am I talking about?
It might even be in the next clip too, but hold on, I'm gonna because we wanna make sure we're getting the full. Okay.
Because one thing about Dominique, she gonna make a food reference.
Hello. No matter what. Here we go.
All right.
Here we go. Here we go.
Pencil so that I can get this done so you can get to your next goal. Why would you not give me a pencil? Why would you not at least somewhat cater to some of the things that your employees are saying? So it does come with backlash. I think being proactive more so is coming with the wholeness that rests inside of us. That's really the proactive work, because at these different companies and agencies and places and different policies and things, it may not be set up for you. You can go to a job and advocate and be just fine, but then go to another job and advocate and be fired. You know what I mean?
Fired. Let go. Pink slip. Out.
Quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, real quick.
Yeah.
What episode was that? What episode was that?
Yeah, that was episode 7. That was workplace wellness.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think that rang home too heavy with me and Dominique because we just transitioned out.
Right.
God, we had so much to say.
Yeah. There was things, unethical companies talked about and all type of stuff. Real life scenarios and examples given.
Yeah.
We have to be well, even at work. I think our society tells us that we don't have to be. You just have to endure. We don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't. We do not have to. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that episode you gave a very practical tip on like having a safe space at your work or at your wherever that may be. And I always remember, just like my car, like, because I had to drive around, because in community therapy, you all over the place. You at schools, you at homes, you everywhere. The people, and I love it. I absolutely adore it. So what I found myself doing was being intentional about how my car was. Like, everything that I felt like I ever needed was in my car. Like, I had a little snack buggy. I had, like, every time, once I turned my car on, the loudest like rain sounds and wind blowing.
Yes.
Like, it was just so calming. So when I was driving, I really was able to just relax and be a good cup for someone else, like I was able to fill back up. So I always think about that. Like, that is such a practical, I think it's something that was so good, but a lot of people may overlook it because in work, it's depending on the type of work, but to be honest, I think in everyone's workspace, you do have a sense of a fast pace. So it tends to go past, sometimes we work and don't take breaks. Sometimes we work and we don't allow ourselves to have those moments. If a job gives you 2 15 minutes and a 30-minute, take them 2 15s and a 30.
Everything.
Take every single thing. If you have PTO time and mental health days, take every piece of the day. Because it came with it. That's what they gave you. So take it. Like, don't let that just, a year go past and now you can't use it. Use everything. Learn about the benefits that you have. If you've committed to staying on a 9 to 5 for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, learn the benefits. Learn about the 401k. Learn about the retirement. Learn about what therapy services they have and insurance. Learn about all of that. They don't teach that. Learn about everything and use every piece of it. Every piece.
Yeah. I love that, because I was having a conversation, and something that I definitely wanted to highlight was people think burnout means I'm just working too much. Now, that is a part of it, but I think another part of burnout is when you're no longer passionate about the stuff you're doing. So every day it's like here we go, let me get in there, to the point where your reputation is now hitting a negative spot because you're not showing up as your best self. And I'm not saying you have to show up as your best self every day, because even as a clinician, I'm like, listen here, did we hit that 55th minute yet? Because I'm done and I just want to click off. And it happens, you know what I'm saying? But like, I have to, when it comes to like self-care and understanding, I think it's so important to understand yourself. Self-care is pointless if you don't understand yourself. You need to understand what you need, what pours into you, the holes that exist, so that like when you're pouring, it's not just leaking out and it's not sticking. You know what I mean? If I can't find multiple ways of self-care, as happy and go lucky as I am, my clients might see a different version of me.
Right.
And we don't need her to come out. We don't need
No.
her to come out.
No, not at all. Don't need her to come out, and she could just stay right on in there and keep it moving. I love that you mentioned that if you don't know yourself, then you can't really do self-care. So
Yeah.
very profound.
That's
All right.
true. Right? Because what you're doing.
Exactly. And while this clip is playing, I'm going to plug in my laptop because we don't need any foolishness going on. So
Oh, that part.
okay.
You create silence when you are not a safe space. You are a hostile environment. You are not creating a safe space. And souls are saddened, y'all. Like, people are hurting. People are in some serious pain, all because they're suffering in silence. If you do not create that safe space, they will continue to suffer in silence because they think, like we've been saying, this pain that I'm in, it's unique to me. No one's ever felt this before. And even if they felt it, they didn't feel it the way that I'm feeling it. So therefore, no one's gonna understand. So if
That was good. That was good. You know, some stuff you just gotta rewind so you can hear it again. Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to run that back?
Yeah, run that back. Run
Go
that
ahead.
one back. That was good. Run that back.
Yeah. I hope I'm in the right spot.
Oh, I hope so too.
Let me. Okay, girl. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see where I am. Oh boy.
That was
people
so
are hurting. People are in serious pain, all because they're suffering in silence. If you do not create that safe space, they will continue to suffer in silence because they think, like we've been saying, this pain that I'm in, it's unique to me. No one's ever felt this before. And even if they felt it, they didn't feel it the way that I'm feeling it. So therefore, no one's gonna understand. So if I'm
Yeah. I mean, good. That was such a good episode. That suffering in silence, like
oh man.
and that's the plight of so many people. Like that is our journey that we just endure in silence. We don't say anything.
No. Because we're not safe, right? And we find ourselves talking to people or venting to people who can't handle what we're saying. And so they open their mouths and say something else. And then when it happens repetitively, you're just like, I'm just not going to say anything. Or I never received the language on how to effectively express myself. So it comes out in behaviors and I start acting out. And it's like people then look at you like, oh, that person's mad and angry. And it's like, well, not really. I'm really hurt, but I don't know any other emotion to express other than anger or frustration, or like they say these days, I'm crashing out, right? And it's like we need to help people, not just as clinicians, but as family, friends, coworkers, whatever. Emotional intelligence and emotional language is so necessary because if I want to articulate, here's what I'm going through, and you are a safe space for me, I need to be able to have a communication with you, right? Like if you are deaf and I'm talking to you, you're not going to understand a thing I'm saying. Like you can read my lips as best you can, but you're not going to. Language is important. Language is how we communicate. Language is how we understand. Language is how we conceptualize a lot of stuff. And it's like, I need to know how to speak so that when I speak, it is heard, you know, and I don't think we have enough people who have the language, who have the understanding of how to do that. So we stay silent, and that's a killer.
Right.
A killer.
And some of us, because we haven't had that, we don't know how to be that for people.
Correct.
So it's just it's just an ongoing cycle. and that we have to show up differently. We have to learn, and although it didn't maybe you didn't get it, doesn't mean that you have to be the same person that chooses not to give it to you can be the catalyst and
Yeah.
bring forth a different way of being in the world. And yeah, you being one person, you may feel like it doesn't change a whole lot, but it does. In whatever setting and whatever community you find yourself in, it does. It changes a lot. Because someone's looking at you and seeing a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has never felt that and felt it from you and now has a different perspective.
That's good.
So we have to show up in a different way. So yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, so good. And we do have to show up in a different way. And what a beauty it is to be able to change the course of our life and someone else's life by showing up in that different way. Like,
Yeah.
then
Mm,
I never had this, but I'm going to be this, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
Agreed, 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 agreed. Fully agreed. There we go.
My
Come
number
on.
one fan.
There we go. It's beautiful, it's beautiful to be able to break that generational curse and then keep going. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, this is the last clip, believe it or not. This is
Oh
the
my
last clip.
goodness.
I
Okay.
know. So we're gonna run through this. It's been a beautiful overview and just
Yeah.
okay, here we go.
Showing up in a way, and this is where honesty comes in. This is where real honesty, because half of us, to be honest, like let's say when you're going on a date for the first time or whatever, you're gonna put on your best, you're gonna be your best, you're gonna smell your best, your hair gonna be your best, like it's gonna be your best. And then later on, you start to feel old, and it's not that it's not your best, it's just life.
It's
You know,
you. It's the truth.
exactly. It's the truth. It's the this is me outside of the display, right? This is me outside of the shining lights on the display at the store. This is what happens behind the scenes, and that's just as beautiful and just as valuable, even though it doesn't look so structured and together all the time. Who is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come
Mm-hmm.
on, Dominique.
Come
Yeah.
on.
We got to be honest. We have
Yes.
to, like, all these things that we just talked about. It starts with us, right? It starts with us being that change, but we have to be honest about a lot of the things. Like, you have to be honest about that family trauma. You have to be
Absolutely.
honest about how it impacted you. You have to be honest about how you're showing up in a way. You can't just be saying, "Oh, y'all been toxic to me." I'm sure there's a lot of people I've been toxic to. Like, you have to see yourself in honest eyes. You have
Mhm.
to. It can't just be pointing fingers all the time, or just never seeing you for really what you are. You
Right.
have to be honest, because then vulnerability comes out. Then a real life change can happen, because
Yeah.
there's no longer a mask, there's no guard, your heart is open, like, and now you can receive in fullness what you need to receive to start changing behavior and changing actions that will affect a whole entire community, whether we want to believe it or not. It affects a whole entire community. I don't remember if it was this episode, but I was talking about how, when it comes to Black women in music, and how all we see is them twerking they behind and wearing
Yeah.
half nothing,
It
and
was that.
just
Yep.
and we have to be honest about that. Why is that okay?
Mm.
Why is this okay? Why is it
Why
that
have we allowed this?
Right? Why have we allowed this? Why is it that the only thing that we see on TV now is Black women going at each other, being full of drama, being full of this, the angry Black woman, and all this stuff,
Yep.
not realizing that
Yep.
these were stereotypes that are not even true to the essence of us. But
That's
because we
right.
couldn't say, "Dang, I was just tired or frustrated, so I showed up in this way," we walk around with the with the titles that they give us, when
Mhm.
anger is really hurt, or when anger is really frustration, or I'm
Mhm.
literally just burnt out, like I'm really just tired. And we have to change that. So it starts with us being honest as a community, as individuals. We If we don't have that, then we have nothing. All these episodes go for nothing if we're not honest if we're not honest. So that was heavy for me.
Because we
Yeah.
had I think the beauty of Let This Mind is that yes, we are professionals and we're in the field, but we're people first, right?
Hmm.
And our humanity and our vulnerability and transparency was given through every single episode. So it's
Yeah.
like Steph had said a while ago, this isn't us preaching at y'all, being like, here's what y'all need to do and fix it. And blah, blah. It's like, y'all, this was real for me. And I struggled with honesty and vulnerability and transparency because, like Dominique said, there's so many titles and stigmas and things, stereotypes put on us. And when we're not careful, we lean heavily into those things. Right? It's like, well, I'm just a better Black woman. It's like, you don't have to be. You know what I mean? We can heal. We can let things go, create the boundaries, and move it on along. But we don't do that. So we lean into it. This is just what's expected of me. So I don't have to try. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
We all have to do better.
Yeah.
And including us, we try to do better every single day because, y'all, life is life.
Yeah. We have to do better. We have to do better. And I mean, I think the success of any abuser, exactly, Kiana, right?
Yes. Oh, we gotta go. So I couldn't even
true.
unpack that.
No, but
Jesus.
it's true. It's real life. I think the real success of any abuser is that they don't have to be around for the abuse to still continue on, that we become our own abusers.
That's a word.
It's us. They don't need to talk. They don't need to hit us. They don't need to hit us with their words, hit us with their hands. It's us. We become our own abusers. And you know, that episode was so beautiful. It was right around, you know, we're talking about love and all that and worthy by design and we are enough. And we have to know that, but it does start with honesty. That we have to be honest with ourselves first because there's no recipe that can be made without it. We have to be honest. And everything we do, just what you were saying, everything we do, everything we just talked about, we just spent hours, you know, this whole season yipping and yapping, laughing, goats and all mac and cheese and all this stuff without honesty sprinkled on all that. It's void. It's null and void. It means nothing. We have to be honest. We're not talking about being honest with other people, with ourselves first.
Yeah.
Honest with me first. And then, oh man, I can be honest. Okay, I can say that this is really what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak too heavy on it because I know we've reached and surpassed the time.
Yeah.
But I was being reminded, and I was watching this thing, and it was talking about Solomon in Ecclesiastes, and literally, he's like, "I tried all of these things, and found out that most of this was pointless." And like, what are we really chasing? What are we really striving after? Because at the end of the day, if we're not living in our God-given purpose, which we won't live in if we don't love ourselves and if we don't understand ourselves, he's like, I got all the money, I had all the concubines, I had all the riches, I had all the wealth, and it was worthless. And I'm just like, that's crazy. Because crazy. Solomon, he really did have a lot, almost everything. And then it's like, he literally sat down and was like, wait a minute. All of this is useless. All of this is
all of it
for what? You know what I mean? It's not like my pastor would say, you're not gonna have a U-Haul with you by the time you get to heaven. Everything
and don't want it. And don't want it.
And grinding, it's gonna go to someone else when you pass. So it's like the honesty of I don't need to grind and hustle and do all the things and be like other people. And for what? Like, be you. Because all of us are assigned to territory. We are assigned to a tribe. And it's like, don't let the people miss out because you're trying to be a carbon copy of what already exists.
My God.
Be authentically you. Understand that God created you with intention. So it's not by mistake. And he doesn't make mistakes. So be that person, quirky, weird, all over the place. Y'all seen all three of us act a whole fool sometimes. And here we are. So like, you can be professional and quirky. You can be all of these things. The important thing is to be your authentic self. So that when God calls you, you can walk in purpose with purpose and not apologize for it.
Yeah.
That's drop.
Yep. That's it. That's
great
enough.
Great way to end it. This has been such a lovely season. We're excited. Yes, come on now. Preaching.
Come on now.
Come on. People dropping the mics, pass the offering plate, benediction, done. Okay, we're dismissed. But such a wonderful season, and we thank you for rocking with us. Those who are watching live, those who will watch it on the rewatch ministry, we thank you for rocking with us, for commenting, for being here along the journey with us, and we're looking forward to season 3. We're gonna take our sabbatical. Okay, we're gonna take our Selah. Okay. And then we're going to come back with season 3 because there's plenty to talk about. We'll never run out of content. It's impossible.
Never.
We can never, ever run out of content.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank y'all for all the love. Aw, thank you.
Thank you.